With the release of the Cabbage guy, right, the Dual Nation guy with Stoic and Dragon Empire, I thought, why not see what works with this card in Premium, right? So my first thought was go to Tachi's, and then I found out maybe I can't. See, the card is really good at making your numbers better and also giving you much more pressure on turns where you shouldn't have. Now, see, here's the issue. It's not a consistency piece. It's a win more card. It's a combo piece in a sense, right? It is a card that allows you to increase your ceiling, but doesn't actively do anything to help you get there. So you need to have everything first, and then you can play this card, and then it'll be impactful. I put it in Tachi's. It is now dog. I'll only draw this card as my only grade 2, or I don't draw any other cards as Superior Call, and then I'm stuck with this card. And I try to look at Murakumo because Murakumo has a lot of free calling and whatnot. The issue arose again. So that was my one issue with this card. This card got me to revisit Murakumo, and thanks to my friend Saf, she hooked me up with a deck list with Cabbage, so I was trying that out. You can see the deck list on the screen right here. This deck is really cool. Like, you have Shiryuki rides, you have consistent Shiryuki calls, and then you also have the Cabbage to make all of your attacks hit really big numbers. And Train is so good. Like, this stride is insane. Because you're playing 4 Hidden Scrolls, you can leave 1 Hidden Scroll on board, and then with Train's on hit, copy Hidden Scroll to call 2, and then Hidden Scrolls will copy 2 more copies of 2 other rear guards. And because of this, I revisited Murakumo, and I thought to myself, well, how can I make this better, right? Since when I was playing this deck, I either didn't see Cabbage, or I didn't have the counterblast or the board space to call Cabbage. It was always like that. Early game, I'd have to ride Cabbage so that I'd save the cards in my hand for the combo. Otherwise, Cabbage didn't really do anything for me. So I took this deck on a journey. I wanted to find the best way to play Cabbage in this deck. And you can see that with this next deck list. I put in Tier and I put in Senbei. Tier for the CC because this deck counterblasts a lot if you're planning on spamming Cabbage, but also if you want to use Itohiki, the ride fixers, to extend your plays. And also Senbei to draw cards, but also bot deck cards that I might need. Like, for example, if I call a Wazoo down and discard a Fright Sickle, I'd like to put that Fright Sickle back into my deck. Little did I know, I would never use that part of Senbei's skill. I'd only use the draw part, which is a little unfortunate, but it's okay. My first iteration upon the list, and I put in a few more like Cray strides, Cray G guards to make Tier worthwhile. And I was playing this deck. I was testing it out. The entire time, I did not call Tier. I did not call Cabbage, even though I kept drawing it. And I really disliked the fact that I didn't have 10k triggers anymore because Dart Spider took them all out. And this is where I was thinking, where did it all go wrong? So I felt like I improved upon the deck. In theory, the deck improved. It's just that it felt the exact same as the previous build, except a little worse because I didn't have 10k triggers. So I didn't know what was going on. So I was just trying my best to look through, see what I could do. And then it hit me. What if I just don't play Cabbage, right? What if I just make my Fright Sickle combo super consistent and I don't play Cabbage? So that's what I did. In this second draft, you can see I took out Shiryuki, I took out Cabbage, and I maxed out on cards that either draw me cards or let me see cards. This was using the JP card pool at the time, and I just wanted to see what I could come up with. Here we can see the deck list is completely different, where we added in the heal promos, we added in more Wazoos, there's Shenris, there's the new promo grade 2 order that's basically Habitat but in Dragon Empire, and then we added in this funky card called Tamamo. This card is just a Metamorphox, but you can call it when you dry check it. As I later find out, this card is really bad, but playing this build means that I don't use CB as often anymore, which means I also take out Dart Spider, which also means I don't use as much soul anymore, which is kind of nice because now I don't have to worry about it, right? I can just play more 10k triggers. So that's what I did. I put in Yasuie crits that lets you draw when you damage check them. This deck list worked for a little bit. I found that it was more consistent in getting the sickle combo off, but the issue was that I kept dying for random reasons. I kept losing because I was drawing no shield. And I was thinking to myself, okay, how do I improve the shield in this deck? And then it hit me. Main deck Sentinels. I'm not talking about normal sentinels. I'm talking about quintet walls. Now, Murakumo has really cool quintet walls in the form of Tamanoi here. Tamanoi is just like the Flip G Guard Shirahagano. Any grade 3 or lower guardians you call get the ability when they're retired from the guardian circle, they go to the bottom of the deck. You can choose for them to go to the bottom of the deck in the case that, you know, you don't want to flood your deck with normal units. You just want to stack triggers on the bottom. But basically, that was my thought process. With this deck list, I was thinking, okay, this is a little more defensive because quintet walls are 1-card guards. And then if I use it to bot deck OT, I can go 5 cards deeper into my deck to actually hit that stack, because this deck actually thins through this deck really fast. It sounds a lot easier than it actually is, you know, but you get the gist of it, right? Now, there's the other problem that comes up. When I hit a defensive, it's a 5k trigger, and then I cry because a 10k trigger would save me. So that was like the main issue with this. But also, sometimes I felt like if my opponent hit one trigger, even if it was a 5k trigger, the turn kind of died. It's really unfortunate. It still keeps the same core of everything else, but now the deck kind of feels bad. I made an adjustment. This time, I'm going to focus more on drawing, then I'm going to focus on getting the combo off. So that drawing gives me consistent shield value, and then I can also use that to counteract whatever my opponent is doing. So I decided to put back in PGs. I put back the countercharge PGs this time so that I had more space in my trigger slots, and I swap out Dart Spiders for Flare Veil Dragon, the D draw, so that it also has 10k shield. And so this just felt really nice. I also put in the addition of Bleovorus because, you know, Stride Fodder that draws is pretty cool because your board is usually filled anyways. You're not really calling the other grade 3 you have. So it just felt really nice to have Discard Fodder that lets you draw. And honestly, I forgot it doesn't proc when you do the Superior Stride skill. I was cheating for like half my games because I forgot about that fact, and I'm a level 1 judge, you know. But other than that, like, this deck performed what it needed to do. It got shield as much as I thought it would. And with the addition of Metamorphox, it also let me cut out the Tamamos completely, because Metamorphox allows me to copy the sickle name, and this means I don't have to keep a sickle on board. But also, the one thing I kept finding with this deck was that I couldn't find boosters for the Rite Fixer, and that just felt really annoying. So Metamorphox just went in because, you know, card's cool. Once I realized that Bleovorus didn't proc on the Superior Stride skill, I came to my final draft. This draft, I feel, is the best version of this deck, and honestly, I don't think you would expect it. This is my final draft of the deck. I put Shirikis back in because this card's insane. I honestly forgot how good it was. Otherwise, I kept the same ratios. However, this time, you may see there's 2 important changes from before, right? Before in the other drafts, we saw Lady Silhouette. Now we play Juan Chanter. Juan Chanter fulfills sort of the role Senbei was supposed to fulfill, and that was 1 act as a booster and 2 bot deck cards. So now with Juan Chanter, I can call a Wazoo, copy Sickle, and then use Juan Chanter, bot deck the Sickle I just discarded to copy the Sickle name. And this gives me an outlet to bot deck, you know, more defensive cards like the PG, so I can get them back later. The main difference is Honolly. Nightmare. I was playing a bit against some Excel matchups, and I was thinking, you know, I'm actually winning most of these matchups when I'm going first. When I'm going second, that's when things started to fall apart. While I did have a really good farm turn, and while I did pressure them a lot, the only issue was that the moment they survived until their second stride, they could actually pop off. And when they actually popped off, they would hit me for a bunch of attacks. And if I hit no defensives, or I drew too many grade 3s, I was gone. I was done for. I could not do anything. And so Honolly went in. I know this isn't like the best build of Murakumo out there, but yeah, I've been yapping the entire time. Anyways, I'm just gonna talk over a few like combos and such. You can have some roll as we're going. So like this deck does 14. Sorry, this deck ends on 14 cards in hand or something like that. You get like 3 sickle swings, and then you have your triple drive, then you get 3 more, and then you get 9 cards into your hand on 1 turn. Or I don't know, if you have Fixer, you can go to like 10. I think that's pretty good, honestly. Wait, I did the math wrong. Okay, with Fixer, you draw 8 off Sickle and then triple drive. Without Fixer, you get like 6 draws off Sickle and then triple drive. So you know, this deck is pretty cool. And then you have the funny hidden scroll for copy abilities. I don't know, dude. Like this deck just loops its PGs and its G Guard promo. And then you just loop Sickle for power and draw. and then your hand just becomes stacked, and then you G-guard into the funny Shiro Hagane G-guard, then you put all your triggers back that you drew, and now your deck's compressed as heck. And you also pray that you hit OT, because how else does Murakumo win against Hanali, you know? Anyways, I hope you like the video. I cut down on this part because I've been sitting on this video for about like 2 months now, and I still have another video in the woodworks. So I'd like to get that started. I don't know, go watch my Tyrant Legend video or something, or my Think Saver video. Those are pretty banger.